mix of competing sports here tonight. 4 were all region bowlers. They've won so many things they're not even sure which one is theirs. And 3 all-conference bowlers. Okay? All right. All right, this one you'll know for sure. Somebody had a 300 game this year. All right. All right. And another bowler had a 300 game last year. All right. I told them earlier I once had a 300 series. So, but congratulations on an amazing season. Just fantastic, both individually and as a team. We're very proud of what you've done for the district and for the school and for each one of you individually. Just incredible accomplishments. In order to honor you, we have some certificates from the Board of Education. So as I say your name, what I'll do is I'll give you your certificate if you want to stand over here, because we have Miss Twitter sitting right here. Allison Sartorius, our athletics director, will probably have this out before you sit back down in your seats. Let's start with Nathan Bellata. Congratulations. Yes, alphabetical here. Reno Candle. Aaron is not here, okay? Thank you. Hunter Gates. Jacob Heltzer. Mark Mead. I've got 2 more certificates that we'll give to the coach for team members that are missing, but we also have one for the coach, J.R. Ulrich. Stand up there with your boys. Sorry, I knocked this off the microphone. Any moms or dads who want to take pictures now? Now's your chance. Come on up. It's fine. I want one too.
Coach Ulrich has a
Get closer together like you like each other.
halo.
Yeah, that's JR, right.
Move from the screen.
Gotta go in front of the board.
You can't see your coach. Maybe a couple of you kneel down in front. Maybe.
All stand down in front.
See everybody?
All right, everybody get your Kodak moment. For those young people, Kodak was a film company. All right. Coach, would you like to say a few words about your fantastic team?
A couple things we missed. I just wanted to mention that Mark Mead's on his way to Adrian to bowl. And I'd just like to say personally thank you to Ms. Sartorius for considering our sport a real sport, not one of the big 3. It's a real sport, and helping us bring legitimacy to our sport. Proud of what we've done. And this is the first boys team champion at Kettering ever. Thank you very much.
All right, I would like, gentlemen, if you can go give some handshakes to the board. I'm sure they'd like to congratulate you on your success.
Congratulations. Great job. Great job. Great job. Congratulations.
We're so proud of you.
Congratulations.
For making Waterford
Great
look
job.
so good. Thank
job,
you
Coach.
so much for all you've done. We're so proud of you. Fantastic job, guys.
I will.
So proud of the work you've done. Good job, guys. It's a great opportunity. Grab your stuff to the house.
The board may, JR, the board may want comments to them. If they could go back to the microphone.
The board will probably system. Board, are there any comments the board would like to say before these guys leave?
Yep. Anybody from the board like to address these champions?
Yeah, I'd like to. I think this is awesome. I mean, you guys have brought recognition to your sport and to this community, through your efforts in bowling. My daughter had a friend who was a very avid bowler, and she also too did go on to bowl in college. So I I think one of you was going to Adrian, correct? And I think that is such an awesome opportunity. I mean, look at what this sport has brought you. It's going to bring you even higher education. So, you know, good for you, good for all of you, and keep it up.
Mr. Piggott?
First of all, I want to say, right after it happened, you know, and we found out, first thing I did is I went on like the MHSAA website, and they have all the different sports, and pulled it up, and it's like, state champs, Waterford Kettering. Whoa, I did a screenshot, I saved it to my computer. It's so awesome, very cool. But then I do have a question, if you can answer, and it kind of goes to the two guys that had a 300 game, but really all of you guys. So you're kind of like to that 8th frame and 9th frame, and I don't know how the state final went when you were right there, if it was like really close, and then same with the 300 game. I mean, I bowled at one time, and if I could get like a 160, I was sweating, you know, so excited over that. But I can't even comprehend, A, getting close to a 300 and not like dropping the ball or sweating so bad, or better yet, getting this close to be state champions. So I don't know if anybody wants to comment, kind of like, what are you thinking, 8th frame, 9th frame, beginning of the 10th, and you got to get this and that, and how do you, I mean, what's going through your head?
I need you to go to the mic, though, so we can all hear you. Thanks, sir.
Come on, Red.
We're all trying to stay cool, calm, and collective.
I'd just like to say that we were down the whole way till the 10th frame, and this is a pretty good team last year, and we just couldn't get over the edge, and they decided they didn't want to lose anymore, so they became a good team. They had each other's back, and they helped push each other through. In our format, the score was 1399 to 1395, so we won it by 4 pins in the 10th frame. Mr. Gates needed a strike. Mark Mee came up, threw 2 in the 10th, which got us in it. We needed 17 pins. He threw the first one and smashed it. The rest of it was pretty simple from there.
So what about you as a coach, as you're sitting there watching it? I mean, what's going through your mind?
Throw up bag.
Mr. Petrusha?
And again, I bowl, but again, I need 3 games to hit a 300. But it's impressive, and again, for the parents and the supporters. I went and watched a bowling meet once a few years back. They closed the refreshment stand. I can't imagine bowling without refreshments. So for you young students, again, you can't, but for the parents, thank you so very much. It's great.
We have refreshments since they closed the bar.
Well, I didn't want to say, you know, adult beverages. So, but yeah, it is a great. I can't, again, because I do it, and I am not good, but I usually have fun. And again, when you're that uptight, the people that I bowl with that are good, you know, they get upset and they're trying to. Thank you for doing that and pulling it together, and to be that close is very exciting again. And for the first title at Kettering in a male sport is, and again, that's been around almost 60 years now.
Yeah, I graduated in '84. There was nothing, so this is.
Yeah, it is absolutely spectacular. Thank you, gentlemen.
I just wanted to end, like, gentlemen, I don't think it's going to sink in, but if you live in Waterford 20 years from now or 30 years from now, your kids go to Waterford and you say, man, I wonder how many state championship teams there are in the whole district. You'll be one of those rare championship teams. Yeah, 3. Okay, I'm talking to every business person I know that posts the history of sports teams that have co-champions, state champions. They need to put the state champions of the bowling team on their wall. So, gentlemen, I know you may not appreciate it now, but I know in 20 years when your kids come through, you're like, yep, we're one of those few. Congratulations.
The team also had a question. They want to know, when you come into Waterford, when do we get our sign that says "Welcome to Waterford"? Yeah. Division I state champs.
Okay, I gotta speak for the board, but that's gonna happen. We'll get with Dr. Wunderlich, and something's gonna happen that says there's,
Thank you,
welcome to
Mr.
Waterford.
Himmelspach.
Yep, appreciate it.
John, can I make a quick comment? I just also wanted to add the accolades. As I look out at you young men, I just can't tell you how proud we are of you. I know that you didn't get here by yourself. I know you have parents that have probably been taking you to lanes for as long as you probably could walk based on how good you are, but certainly for many, many years. And also your coach. Wanted to thank your parents and your support system and your coach for giving these opportunities to you. But most of all, we want to thank you. You have brought such pride to Waterford. We are so incredibly proud of you. It isn't just the skills that you have, it's the hard work, it's the determination, it's the fortitude, it's the perseverance, and it's the staying calm and cool and collected. Is that how you said it? So those are life skills, and you'll have this on your proverbial resume for the rest of your life. It is absolutely phenomenal.
So
Thank
parents,
you.
if you're in the audience, could you stand for us? Thank you.
I just say thanks to the board. We're really proud of what we've done for our school and for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But these guys are saying how swamped they are with homework, so you guys can have a good rest of your evening. Thank you.
Next we move to celebration of learning. Carly
Right.
Stone.
We're going to let the fun continue here. So the 2018 Scholastic Art Awards received over 6,400 art entries from middle and high schools in the Michigan Southeast region. Only 1,103 individual student works were chosen for Gold Key, Silver Key, and Honorable Mention Awards as exhibited this past February at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. The regional Gold Key artwork of Waterford Mott student Hannah Cripps went on to New York to compete nationally with all other high school Gold Key regional winners. We are so very proud to announce that Hannah earned a National Scholastic Silver Key in the ceramics category. Additionally, over 100 Metro Detroit high school students compete annually in the SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, poster design for cash awards and scholarships. Waterford Mott student Rachel Bernards placed 7th overall, and her poster design will be on display in April at Cobo Center in Detroit. With us this evening are several of our amazing secondary visual arts teachers, as well as their stunning students, to share more information in the Scholastic Art Awards. Here they come.
Hi, thanks for allowing us to be here tonight. So you can see we've got several students and as well as staff. We're very proud of the tradition of art that Waterford has. These kids work incredibly hard every year, and I know there's a couple of us who are products of the Waterford School District. Myself, Katie, and I know in the back there, Mrs. Groff was Sheila Lee's student teacher as well. I think Renee was, yes, Mrs. Shinnick also. So we're very proud of that tradition, and I don't have anything else to add in terms of facts and figures because Ms. Stone did that for us. So Gary Mudd put together a movie with all the award-winning artwork, so if you could roll that for us. Thanks. really quickly would like to say too that I know the Kettering Art Show is the week of May 14th through the 18th. It's that Monday through Friday. Mott's is also the same week. Yours goes up Tuesday, right? The 15th. Our Kettering's official opening would be the 16th, that Wednesday, just before senior honors. So, love to have you there. Katie, are you doing a?
Pierce will be doing an art show as well. I'm really excited because the construction is pretty much out of the way, so I expect some pretty good things. I'll have those dates for you once I completely confirm them soon.
So don't go anywhere. We'd like each student perhaps to introduce themselves so we can put a face with names. Tell us what grade they're in or if there's any plans for the future.
I'm Alexis Crawford, and I'm from Pierce Middle School. I'm Noah Kemkin. I'm from Pierce Middle School in 7th grade.
I'm Zoe Nalipa. I'm from Pierce Middle School in 8th grade.
I'm Kate Petch, and I am a senior at Waterford Mott.
I'm Katie Osika, and I'm a senior at Waterford Mott, and I'm not pursuing anything in art, but art will always be a part of my life, no matter where I go. My name is Ava Stepanowski, and I'm a junior at Mott. My name is Rachel Bednars, and I'm a senior at Mott, and I'm not sure if I took a commercial art class this year. That's why I made that poster as possibly a leadway into my future in a journalism career. Maybe I'll use it for advertising or something.
I'm Benny Mollahan, and I'm a junior at Waterford Mott.
I'm Janae Dowling, and I'm a senior at Waterford Mott.
I'm Flory Shingler. I am a sophomore at Waterford Mott. I'm Gracie Summerford, and I go to Pierce Middle School in 8th grade.
I'm Hannah Cripps, and I'm a senior at Waterford Mott.
And if we have any other parents, friends, neighbors, if you could stand, so we want to thank you for. Thank you. Thank you very much. I encourage everybody to go to the art show. One of the best days when the students are there for the opening and they can talk to you about how that amazing thing got created. So we truly appreciate all the visual arts you guys put out for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we move to information items. MDE scorecards. Mrs. McPhee. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. McPhee. Could you just pause for a moment because I'm going to let them move.
You don't want to stand here with the scorecards?
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Good evening. The last time we presented on the parent dashboard, and that was a new item for the My School Data reports that the state is doing. It's all part of the new program that the state was approved to implement by the federal government and the U.S. Department of Education to meet the requirements of what used to be called No Child Left Behind, but now is ESSA. The scorecard is going to look a little bit different than you've seen it in the past, but we actually have some really good news to share with you tonight. And what we've done for the board is we have in the PowerPoint scorecards from each school. That's not part of the presentation, that's for you to peruse, and we will show you where you can access that information online in case you want to dig even deeper, but it's a lot of information to share at one board meeting session. Darren's going to start by explaining the changes in the scorecard.
Okay, so we have shown this to you before. Really up until recently, the state had given us a draft of what they thought the scorecard was going to be looking like, but we always knew, about a year ago that these are going to be the requirements or the things that they were going to be measuring us on. And the biggest change, again, has been that they added growth. And not only did they add that, but they put that as the highest percentage of what they're going to be looking at. Proficiency is certainly important, and it comes in second, and then school quality, graduation rates, EL progress, and participation rates. So that we've shared that with you before, but now, and even in the last presentation, we showed you what the draft scorecard would look like, and tonight we'll be showing you what it actually looks like. Basically, what the Department of Ed has done is they've made these growth indexes, and you're going to see a variety of them on the scorecard. Some of them can be a little confusing, so we're going to try to simplify some of that for you. But basically, student growth percentiles are a new term that the state uses, and I'm not going to read off there because I want to try to describe it the best way I can. In that the way they're determining growth is they look at students who scored in a certain, basically a cut score that they got in the previous year, and they put all students that were in that same cut score into a cohort. And then the next year that those students take the score, they look at how the students performed within that cohort. Were they at the top end of performing in that cohort, or are they at the bottom end? So growth is determined based on that cohort that they're in. That's as simply as I can put it, but it is pretty darn complex, not going to lie. But that's basically where that growth comes from. This is what the scorecard looks like, and based on those percentages, this basically what you see. You're going to see an overview, the growth right there, graduation rates for secondary, basically high schools, and school quality. We've got our support category, proficiency, and English EL progress, and the assessment participation rates. And again, before we didn't really know what that was going to look like, but this is kind of an example of what that will look like. And further in the presentation, you'll see we're going to highlight some of our buildings, but in your packets you have all of our buildings. And again, online, like Lisa said, you can drill into this pretty darn far. You can slice and dice this in a lot of different ways. Okay.
One of the changes this year that you'll notice is that the scorecard does not include a district scorecard. Scores are only for individual buildings. In the past, the district used to get a color grade. You remember the lime and the yellow and the orange? That no longer exists, and now it's all done on a school base. However, as in the past, we used to have designations for schools that could be targeted, or I'm sorry, they could be focus schools, targeted because they didn't meet certain percentiles in their proficiency levels, or they could be priority schools, which were in the bottom 5% of achieving schools in the state. Now they've changed those titles, and there are now additional titles for those. You can be a school that has no designation at all. You can be a school that is targeted for support and improvement based on your subgroup scores and your proficiency. You can be an additional targeted support school if you have more than so many subgroups that are not achieving in their proficiency and growth. Or you can be a comprehensive support and improvement school, which is equivalent, something equivalent to the priority school of the past. In the past, we have had a few different schools named as focus schools, and Durant has been named a priority school, which is extremely common among alternative high schools. So that has not changed in that Durant has once again, and I'm going to actually go back to the other one if you can move it back, Darren. Durant has been named a CSI school, and you'll see I've circled on here. It says, is the CSI school an alternative education program? You follow the flow chart. Yes, it is. Are you a member of a partnership, which usually means do you have other schools that have been identified, and so the state has partnered you with a body that is going to help you improve? Well, no, we don't. So we're not a partnership district, and so because alternative schools are looked at differently, we can stay with the same model of using our school improvement plan with support from the state for Durant as we have. So Durant, again, is the only school that was identified, but there's some really good news about Durant that I want to share, because although they have been identified, we knew they were a priority school. It's the nature of their business. We also know that our goal at Durant is to graduate students, okay? So if we look at Durant's graduation rate overview in their scorecard, they are at an index of 65.34. And if you look over on the right side of your screen, you'll see all of the neighborhood alternative schools in the area and what their graduation index was. And Mr. Blomquist is here today. I don't know if any of the staff is here today, but I think a huge round of applause for him, because that is
And if I can just piggyback again, he presented to some of our secondary staff today and talked about, 77 students graduated from Durant last year, and those really effectively would have been 77 students that would not have graduated. The whole purpose for going there was because they were off track and either at risk of dropping out or just, not graduating. So having that opportunity to have 77 more students, and we're going to continue to keep that ball rolling with Mr. Blomquist at the helm.
And I've worked with alternative high schools for 30 years now and never seen an index like this before. So that's very impressive. And just shows you we're doing great things at Durant, even if their overall achievement scores aren't showing it, which, by the way, I need to add that when the students at Durant take that test in 11th grade, because they're not on track for graduation, most have not taken the courses that are tested at that level. So they're being tested on stuff they have not learned yet, which is part of the disconnect with an alternative program. And the state is working on remedying that. So.
All right, so as mentioned in your packet, you can see you have access to the scorecards for all of our schools across the district. We did want to provide a summary for you this evening, just a global overview for you to look. All of these scores are, again, accessible online, and you can drill and look into them. What you'll notice here in the furthest left column is the overall school index. The state of Michigan has changed. It used to be ABC, it used to be different colors. Now we're looking at pure raw numbers, 0 to 100 being the highest. So your overall school index, and that's actually a combination of all of the items that you noticed on the scorecard being presented. The summative growth index speaks to the amount of growth that those students that took the assessment have attained. Again, 100 being the highest, and we could not be prouder to have some schools who couldn't be any higher in growth. Super excited about that, and we have quite a few that are very, very close, just so impressive. And then also the summative proficiency index, which is a combination of math and ELA scores together. If you drill down on those scorecards on the website, you can actually disaggregate the data by different content, by each of those content areas, but this is a conglomerate of both of those. So we wanted to make sure that we gave everyone a chance to see all of the success and what we're proud of as we continue to move forward as a district.
And we do have some of those elementary principals here today as I look back at Mr. Blomquist, who got such wonderful growth scores, so maybe we could give them a round of applause. So I think the one thing we can take away from this without doubt is, the summative growth index is based in large part on the SPG, and we know that in both the NWEA and in this MSTEP model, that growth percentile is average at 50% and above. And so we know that we are making accelerated growth in our schools, and we know that that's what we need to do. We've talked about that many times. We need to make accelerated growth in order to get our proficiency scores up there. So I think that this is just further proof that we are on the right track and we're moving in the right direction. So questions, comments?
Questions? No questions?
Oh.
Joan?
Well, it's not so much a question as just a comment that you guys totally rock. This is awesome. I know still we continue to work on the overall school index and our proficiency, but to see growth at our schools, some of them, nobody's better in the state than us, and in growth. And there's no way we can close that gap unless we're growing at a rate greater than everybody else. And this tells us that we are, and closing that gap indeed. So I know I'm gushing. I'm just so proud of the work that our school buildings are doing every day for our students, and so tickled to see it evidenced in data for us. And it's just kind of a beacon for us all that we are absolutely moving in the right direction, and just couldn't be more tickled to see this. Also, just wanted to thank personally Mr. Blomquist for your extraordinary work at our alternative high school at Durant. Those kids are awesome, and you have created an environment of success, and to have them outperforming any of our neighboring districts is it's extraordinary. And just thank you for all the work that all of our staff does every day to make these kind of results possible.
Mr. Torres?
I also, too, wanted to recognize Mr. Blomquist. These numbers from Durant are impressive. And I've heard a lot of great things about what's going on at Durant. I've actually reached out to you and spoke to you a little bit. I work as a court administrator, and specifically with youth that do attend many alternative types of schools. And from what I've heard, from what you all are doing is fantastic. And I think these numbers really show it. So kudos to you and to our kids, these students here at Durant, because I've heard some great stories about many of them actually going on to higher education and seeking out, really pushing for higher education in their dreams.
Thank you. Mr. Petrusha?
And again, it's the growth. It isn't a term, or it isn't the part that we picked out of saying, oh, we're going to achieve this. This is what the state made the most important aspect, and that's what we're doing. We can improve. There's an area we need to improve. We're not going to try to fool anybody, but we're improving at a rate better than everyone else. And again, the state realizes that the growth is such an important part, and they put so much emphasis on that, and we are doing that part of it. We will get better, and we're doing it. So thank you very much.
I would just like to say, too, for all of us, there is nothing more proud. I want to speak to Joan's comments. We gush about our classrooms all the time, and it is so rewarding to have the state recognize the classrooms for the magic that we get to see every day. And we just are we're just very pleased. We're so proud of our teachers. It's just really incredible.
Thank you very much. With that, we move to Waterford Reads.
And we're still up.
Still up.
Just to give you a little bit of history, we're sharing with you tonight a presentation we were asked to make at Oakland Schools in March. This came about back in August when Oakland Schools comes around every year, and they work with us on some data, and they share some data with us from other districts. They can't always identify the districts, but they have a T-chart we use for high achievement, high growth, low achievement, low growth, you know, all of these different quadrants. And it's based on NWEA data and MSTEP data, because most of the districts in Oakland County do use NWEA. And one of the things that Heidi Catula, who's the executive director of teaching and learning there, asked was, how are you getting the growth that you're getting? Because based on your socioeconomic status, we're not seeing this in all the other places. So what are you doing differently? So it really, I mean, we've done so much work over the last 5 years with literacy in particular, and then math as well, that, you know, it was a nice little process for us to go back and put together what we've done over that time and remember things and where we started and how much we've grown. So we wanted to share with you the presentation that we shared at Oakland Schools for our colleagues in curriculum departments across the county last month when we were at Teaching and Learning Council. So the history we wanted to start with is that Waterford has always been a Reader's Workshop district for many, many years, before I was here, before Carly was here, maybe not before you were here, Darren. And, you know, there was a lot of training that went along with that. It was really implemented with fidelity. But over the years, you know, staff changes, there's turnover, the training isn't as intense as it may have been once upon a time, and a lot of things have changed. So if it was working so well for us so many years ago, why was it not working as well anymore? And we needed to find out the why before we could address how to change that. So we knew there was a demographic shift. That's obvious. We knew about that. We've talked about that many times. We had increased poverty in our district, increased transiency, and increased percent of parent incarceration, which is a huge factor in some of those at-risk students. There was less home support. Parents wanted to be there, but they're working 2 and 3 jobs. Remember, this was all in the midst of that economic crisis that some of this started and continued. And so we saw more kids struggling in school, and especially with literacy. We knew that teachers felt confident with workshop. They liked it. They liked the model, and they were doing a great job teaching workshop with efficacy. However, we know that the research shows that students who come from poverty, EL students, students with less home support need more explicit instruction than sometimes Reader's Workshop allowed time for. We knew that students were spending time reading books that were often too difficult or too easy. One of the first things I did when I got here was when I got to this position, as I went around having a reading background, I was able to do this pretty efficiently. And I would go to reading classes and I would read with students who were doing their independent reading, and I kept some data on that. And by the end of that year, I was finding that about 70% of students who were doing independent reading were not reading at their instructional level. So essentially that was wasted time for them, because if you're not reading at your instructional level, then you're not learning more skills and progressing forward. That's research-based. So we knew we had to do something about that. And teachers wanted something to do about that because they were noticing the shift and they wanted to know what they could do to help their students. And so we changed the mindset about Reader's Workshop, and we talked about how we don't just have to do workshop with individual conferencing and the way it's always been done. We can add our own information to it with guided reading, which is direct instruction